Yo, what is good? My anniversary. What is good, yo? Guys, holy. Uh, the God of High School definitely just took one of the most darkest turns I've seen at the end credits, or towards the end credits I've seen in quite some time. With not only having a character who went out of his way to defend somebody, but then seeing him absolutely dismantle and destroy said person afterwards, man. Like, I've never seen such double-sided, like, man. Like, okay, so this week's episode kicks off with our main swords woman getting into a marriage just so she can supposedly protect her fighting sword style. And from what I've understand, it sounds like this guy needed to go through with the marriage and stuff like that to actually get what he was supposed to. But at the end of the day, he doesn't wind up getting it. Everybody kind of shows up and chimes in the case that her father probably wouldn't want it to be like this. The uncle don't want it to be like this. Your the uncle's daughter is trying to help her step out of it. So to know that all these people can kind of see through her facade of getting married for just the cause of the school or just for the cause of the fighting style, it was pretty obvious she wasn't happy or even smiling. She was just straight faced and wanting to get straight to the point. So knowing that that's the case, it was kind of hard to just watch her go through with it, even though this has happened, probably quite a bit in the culture of certain, you know, uh, nationalities and stuff like that, where certain marriages are just done for power nonetheless, or even done for certain types of respect, different things like that. So it's interesting to see how this plays out when we all know how ridiculously talented she is, and she's acting as if she can't just be the one to bring the life back into that sword style, which she ends up losing the sword that she would have been using in the fight that we see her in at the very end. And to say that it would have saved her from and helped her win, I'm not sure. But with how she fought a guy, okay, and here's my problem with this week's episode. Like, there's two things that hit or like rubbed me the wrong way. The one thing that rubbed me the wrong way is during the wedding, the main guy who was supposed to marry her activating his stand and swinging away, but for some reason the power excuse me, the power that he activated, or the stand that he activates, shows up, attacks like one time, and the next attack he doesn't show the stand. So maybe like the power is like manifested into him, so he does more damage or something, because the big monster in the back that he summoned didn't attack more than once, and that one time it attacked didn't do anything. Then the very next attack cuts the girl he's supposed to be marrying, and then the next attack she runs her hand across it and straight up pops him one hit, takes him out. Like, I honestly didn't know what to feel about that. Like, that was kind of the most lackluster thing they could have done. I mean, it was cool that she finished it and everything, but they had him showcased his ultimate ability, supposedly, gets slapped by her, and then not only did she slap him without the weapon that she was using, she then gets slapped so hard by the guy that is, her friend that's been, going through all this crap with her at the same time in the tournament, and yet she is zero competition. I think it has something to do with her wound, from getting sliced, because just by punching her in that area, she actually started bleeding. So it's like he took advantage of that weakness and actually exploited it on her, which is kind of crazy to think about when it's all said and done. But to be fair, the man's best friend is in critical condition and only has, you know, so long to live, especially if he doesn't bring the money that is necessary. So these are the types of stuff that really make you think about the future of this show, because if he's willing to do this because he wants to help somebody, it goes to show you that a lot of things are always going to be on the line for these characters, especially if he doesn't win this tournament and somehow, some way, no one wins the tournament that would be willing to help him take care of his friend. His friend's gone, right? Like, not only did he just throw away his one and only job that he was working, ridiculous, well, no, his second job, one job where he delivers food, is this job where he just cleans up and takes care of the work area where everybody plays video games, and clearly just checks out, and he probably has to go up behind them and make sure everything's taken care of. That type of anger that he had, and that type of like frustration watching his friend suffer and watching all these doctors not know what to do to get his pulse back, had to be so mentally draining that everything else in his way, he just wants it to be done with, and I can understand that. But now that he has done what he's done, I think he's going to get the ultimate fight out of our main character, and I hope he bodies him something fierce, because I get it that you're going through that, but to take it out on someone who would have probably, you know, hung up her sword and picked up a daily job to help you take care of him isn't the way to do it, Chief. So really disappointed in him as a character. That's why I'm playing as a guy who pretty much just punches. He reminded me of him, because he feels like someone that his special feels kind of like that, right? Like just beating the crap out of someone who's already kind of down, and that's what he was doing, man. He was beating the crap out of someone who already has lost quite a bit and was in a fake marriage, and she had to just kind of bounce back and just keep pushing forward. So look at this, this is exactly something he would do when he's angry. Ugh, 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 ugh. And then not only did he do all that, he had to be held back by the ref to stop. That's what messed me up the most. It wasn't that he was just trying to hurry up and end the fight and push forward and get it done with and then walk out. The man was actually going to continue to pummel this girl after she was on the ground and bleeding and unconscious. He was still going for more. So I can't wait to see him get what he deserves. The problem is, it feels like a lot of people have already talked up his character in the grand scheme of being someone that is around a long time, or at least is pretty strong. So I don't think he's as strong as he can be right now, so I think there's going to be time for him to still grow in strength. But unfortunately, I don't care about his character in the least now after what he just did, so we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I didn't like the stand showing up and not doing anything, especially the little tiny backstory we got for the guy who summoned it, seeing how he was part of one of those like members that we saw early last week's episode, or maybe the second episode. I don't even remember when we saw them, but they were all dressed up the same and they were all doing the same type of prayer. And the guy who trained one of the people who was like had his arms bound and whatnot, the guy who said he was like too weak or whatever and had all the bandages, he's a part of that group as well, seemingly. And they just wanted this sword style. They didn't care about this girl, but they wanted to inherit all of the stuff that she had going for her, seeing that the father must have been up to something relatively powerful if this organization actually knew about him and wanted to practically do whatever it took to get a hold of any way they could. So With all that being said, everybody, I hope you have an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I will definitely talk to you sooner than later. Alright, peace.